Hi, I'm Katie Pando, a volunteer docent with Preservation Houston, and I'm here with Jim Parsons, Program Director for Preservation Houston. Preservation Houston has temporarily suspended our architectural walks, but we continue advocating for and educating Houstonians about the historic neighborhoods, buildings, and places that make the Bayou City special. Visit our website, preservationhouston.org, to learn more about our mission and how you can support us.
And until we can start offering in-person walking tours again, we're going to be bringing you video tours of some interesting historic neighborhoods and sites around the city. That's what brings us here to the corner of Westheimer and Crocker in the Montrose area. This is the second in a 7-part video series looking at the historic architecture of Lower Westheimer Road. And if you watched our first video, you'll remember that we explored the area around Westheimer and Taft, a few blocks to the east. That is in Avondale, which is one of the first suburban neighborhoods developed just after the turn of the 20th century on what was then Houston's southwestern edge. Today, we're standing in Avondale's larger, grander neighbor, Montrose, which is one of Houston's best-known historic neighborhoods.
Montrose officially opened in 1911. Back then, the neighborhood was known as Montrose Place. It stretched southwest from where we're standing and reached as far south as Richmond Avenue and as far west as Mulberry Street. The area we call Montrose today includes the 1911 Montrose Place, as well as several other neighborhoods nearby. The developer of Montrose was John Wiley Link, a lawyer and lumberman from East Texas who partnered with several leading businessmen to create the Houston Land Corporation. They named their new development after a location in Scotland, made popular by the writings of Sir Walter Scott.
The sale of lots in Montrose Place began in 1912, but there was a problem. The Galveston, Harrisburg, and San Antonio Railroad had built a line southwest of Houston in 1880, and it ended up running right through the heart of Montrose. The tracks interrupted many of the east-west streets in the neighborhood, and in fact, they used to come right through the Westheimer and Crocker intersection, crossing from the southeast to the northwest. The Houston Land Corporation reached an agreement with the railroad to have the tracks removed in 1915, and today, the jog that Westheimer takes here at Crocker is one of the few signs that the rail line ever came this way.
Several lots in Montrose were replatted from the old railroad line, including this lot where Katz now stands. Originally, it was the site of a 2-story stucco home built in 1919 for wholesale grocer W.D. Cooper. When the deed restrictions in Montrose expired in the 1930s, Westheimer gradually shifted from residential to commercial. Mr. Cooper decided to move to Southampton, and he decided to take his house with him. In order to move the house to its new location a couple of miles away, contractors cut the second floor off and moved the house in 2 pieces. The 2 parts of the house were stitched back together, and it still stands today on Bolsover Street. Cooper built a commercial building on his old lot here at Westheimer and Crocker and named it for himself. There's not much left of the old Cooper building. It was largely rebuilt before Katz moved in 2000.
Of course, W.D. Cooper's house was only one of many that used to line this stretch of Westheimer. There are only 2 old houses that remain standing between Stanford Street and Montrose Boulevard. Both of those have been heavily altered, but you can still get an idea of how they once looked. This prairie-style stucco house was built in 1916 for R.E. Payne, a rice dealer. If you watched our first Lower Westheimer video, you'll remember that the prairie style is characterized by minimal ornamentation, a low-hipped roof, wide, deep porches, and overhanging eaves. The Payne House has had its porch removed and its first floor reconfigured, but you can still see the original large windows upstairs and exposed brackets in the dormer, which were typical of the Craftsman architectural style. Craftsman and prairie often went hand in hand, especially in Montrose. Katie mentioned earlier that Westheimer began shifting from residential to commercial in the 1930s. By the 80s, this stretch of Westheimer had become a center of Houston's LGBT community, and for a while in the 80s, the Payne House housed an LGBT bar. It became a food pantry in the 1990s, serving Houstonians with AIDS, and today it's home to Pascal, an Italian restaurant. The house next door was built in 1917 by home builder H.C. Vogt, and it's another take on the prairie style. The windows have been replaced here, and if the house had any decorative elements, they're long gone. But notice that this house and the house next door have the same overall shape. The architectural focus here is the projecting front porch, which has been enclosed. The house also had a more private side porch where the family could have gone to catch the breeze in the days before air conditioning. Like nearly all buildings along Lower Westheimer, this one has housed a lot of businesses through the years. It's now a tattoo studio.
The last building we want to talk about in this area is familiar to generations of Houstonians. It was built in 1947 for Felix Mexican restaurant, which operated here for more than 60 years. Architect Alan Caldwell designed the building in what he called a California contemporary style, with stucco walls and large arched windows. It was a big step up for owner Felix Tiarina, who moved his restaurant here from a converted bungalow a few blocks farther up Westheimer. Tiarina started his restaurant career as a busboy and opened his first cafe in 1928. He not only ran one of the city's most popular Tex-Mex spots, he was also very active in Houston's Hispanic community. Tiarina registered Mexican Americans to vote, developed and funded preschool programs for Hispanic children that became models for Project Head Start, and was a leader in LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, at both the local and national levels. Felix closed in 2008, and the building got a modern makeover when its current occupant, Japanese restaurant Uchi, moved in 2012. A state historical marker near the entrance talks about Felix Tiarina's life and his business and civic contributions.
That's it for this segment of our Lower Westheimer video tour. Keep an eye out for the next segment where we'll be exploring the area around Westheimer and Waugh. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel so you won't miss any future video releases, and be sure to visit our website, preservationhouston.org, for more information about our work and how you can support us by becoming a member or making a donation. Thanks to Katie Pando for co-hosting today's video, and to David Putz for researching our Lower Westheimer series. And thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next time.